Springfield's pure classic rock. 104.7 The Cave.
104.7 The Cave,
Mike
the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream.
It's a little early for this light.
It is a little early for Jay. I've been up for 5 hours at this point. So today, and as we've done in Dark Side of the Stream, we look at a documentary, and this is Jay's pick, Life After Flash, which was a pretty interesting documentary. But I would like to note before we get into this, my mom is now catching up on Dark Side of the Stream. She had to do a couple big trips recently.
Hi, Mom.
And
sorry, we talk about drugs.
So she's going through them and texting me like questions about killers and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? Then I realized she's going back episode by episode on Dark Side of the Stream. So Mom, I love you. Just a big shout out. And yes, as Jay mentioned, I am so sorry about the drug stories. The first one she got real up in arms about was the taking acid before the band trip in high school.
Your son.
She's like, you really did that? And I'm like, oh God, I could tell you so many more stories, but I'm not going to do that. So anyway, hi Mom. Thanks for listening. And this is Dark Side of the Stream. We are discussing the documentary Life After Flash, which I think this is a really good example of the generational gap, because in the
between you and I.
Yeah. Well, and really in music and shows and all this stuff, because we did The Power of Grayskull, and I was all over it. I was fanboying. I was like, oh my God, I had that. And Jay's
after my time.
Jay's like, bro, I was already
chasing tail.
I wasn't even.
I was playing guitar and chasing girls and skateboarding.
And that's all I did. And I get it, because my whole world was He-Man, She-Ra, and all that stuff. And Flash Gordon came out in 1980, 2 years before I was born. And this, at the time, was the world was so like sci-fi, just infatuated. You had Star Wars, you had Star Trek coming back and doing major motion pictures. You had Battlestar Galactica, the TV show. And then you had this, which interestingly enough, they actually offered George Lucas to direct this, but it was declined. And then he created Star Wars. They tried to make this movie since the 60s.
Yeah, because it was a TV show, wasn't it? Like way back when.
Well,
Buster Crabbe was a new Flash Gordon.
There was a comic book as well. I think that's how it started, was a comic book. But it's a really crazy story about how the documentary does a really good job of kind of showing you like the hodgepodge of characters that were involved in this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it made it sound really epic, the movie, because I don't remember the movie much, but it made me want to watch it again.
So the making of it became more interesting than the movie
they made
itself.
It kind of funny, like here's this hero.
I think the documentary definitely did a good job of having its own signature style. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't take itself, and maybe the movie doesn't take itself seriously. I mean, it's a sci-fi opera. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's Dark Side of the Stream. We're discussing Life After Flash. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio discussing Life After Flash on episode 47 of Dark Side of the Stream. Now, this documentary, Netflix, right?
Yeah. And it mostly follows along the main character and his life after Flash, because he'll forever be the Flash, right? I mean, Flash Gordon. But he kind of got blackballed by Hollywood.
Kind of.
Just for like standing his maybe he was a prima donna during I don't know, but yeah, like, so now his gig is what? Just cruising around to like sci-fi conventions and signing autographs?
Kind of.
And he still seems like a prima donna.
He definitely likes him. Like, Sam is a big fan of Sam, is who we're talking about, Sam Jones, right? And after he did this movie, he wouldn't work again in Hollywood for 5 years.
Well, because there was some issues with him and the director, right? And then there's issues with him. And then didn't they even finish the movie without him?
Well, yeah. So
like this guy just started putting somebody else in the scenes or something.
There was a lot of things that happened. Really big falling out was the money man behind Flash Gordon, Dino. there was a big falling
Dino
out
De
between them.
Laurentiis.
Yeah.
Very famous director.
Yeah, and there was supposedly going to be a trilogy. They were going to do
Right.
they did with Star Wars, and that all got scrapped because whether it was Sam's ego or Dino's ego or whatever, they definitely fell out. The other thing that was unfortunate, and I'm surprised we haven't actually found one from Jay yet, was that after the release of the movie, old Sam had done a nude photo spread, and it got reissued in Playgirl in the 1981 issue using his real name, which is like
that's great.
So when are we going to see the J issue of Playgirl?
Oh, well, nowadays it's all on the internet. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We're just come to a Machine Gun Symphony show, and you can see it in real life.
You've got OnlyFans, you've got Pornhub, YouPorn. The list goes
Just
on.
look for the @JStevens handle. It's Dark Side of the Stream discussing Life After Flash on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern. We're in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode number 47, discussing the documentary film Life After Flash, which really tells the story, and not only about the Flash Gordon film, space opera set came out in 1980.
The making of it,
and the making of it, the production, the falling out between Sam and the producer, which again they were going to do a 3-movie trilogy.
Well, he could have made a lot of money.
He didn't work again in film until 1985. He did do a TV show right after this, which was called Code Red. It only lasted like a year.
And he did appear in Ted.
He was in the A-Team. Yes, he was in Hunter, Riptide. He was in a few things. He was also in the short-lived NBC sci-fi series The Highwayman. So he bounced around a little bit,
but he's been doing sci-fi festivals. One thing this film did, though, that was the first time I think in the film, was have a huge rock band do the soundtrack.
That's true, and that's a great
Look at
point.
Me with the music knowledge.
Yeah,
boom, mic drop.
He just blew it up. That's exactly where we're going with
Flash.
this.
He'll save every one of us.
Yeah, at the point a band really hadn't just like, other than Hard Day's Night with the Beatles or the Who's.
Yeah, but that was a
Tommy.
About them.
Who's Tommy would be another good example. I guess you could really do if you really wanted to say
stretch it.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie. You remember with
that was
the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton.
A poor one.
But it's another example of a band doing a soundtrack. Now this was specifically a band doing a soundtrack that was not a musical.
Right,
Queen
right. I think this is
really was the first to do it.
Somehow they got Queen to do this.
Brian May, who would go on to do a lot of movie soundtracks, actually. Basically was kind of the brainchild behind this. And then you've got Queen, who does the entire soundtrack. It was one of the earliest high budget feature films to score a primarily composed and performed soundtrack by a band. And then later on, my favorite would be Maximum Overdrive from AC/DC. Who made who?
Don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
Maximum Overdrive?
No, never heard of it.
Killer machines coming to life to kill people. Stephen King in a
good.
massive cocaine frenzy. Wrote a movie, directed it called Maximum Overdrive. Emilio Estevez is in it. AC/DC does the soundtrack.
AC/DC does the soundtrack.
Are we going to do a Dark Side of the Stream where we actually watch an actual movie and talk about it? Because it's my turn next, and I would love. I'll watch.
Where do we
Maximum.
find this thing?
You better. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. We got to talk
Stick
about
with Flash.
Got to talk about Flash.
Stick to the script, kid.
I think that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, back to the documentary Life After Flash. Yes, it does. It follows Sam and what he went through after this movie. Like you mentioned, I think he kind of was a big head and thought he was going to be going places. It's unfortunate that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see, but he made a living. He still makes a living off of one role in 1980. 40 years later.
I mean, I guess he makes a living going to these sci-fi conventions and setting up shop and taking pictures, signing autographs.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
Tough
a bad
gig, life on the road.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than traveling salesman. You're just selling yourself,
Now it sounds like a good gig.
I know. It's exactly what we do here.
All right,
it's Dark Side of the Stream. We will discuss our thoughts on the Life After Flash documentary and discuss what it is we're going to be watching in next week's episode on 104.7 The K. .7 The Cave, Springfield's pure classic rock. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens. It's Dark Side of the Stream discussing the documentary Life After Flash. How many flashes would you give this documentary?
I'd give it a 4.
You give it a 4?
Yeah, it was good.
I give it a 3.5. 3.5 flashes.
Interesting story. Well done. I got to learn a little bit about the whole movie that I'd forgotten all about.
Didn't rewrite the wheel. I have seen this movie, but it was a long time ago, and I need to rewatch it.
I was a kid, probably.
I need to rewatch it because now I probably remember the soundtrack more than I actually remember the film. But yeah, it was a pretty good documentary. Had a good flair. I thought the director and the producers did a really good job of just telling the story.
Dad
about
just
it.
finds these hidden gems all the time.
Jay really has his ear to the asphalt when it comes to hearing documentaries.
I'm like an Indian stalking wolves.
But we basically I've come to a crossroads here because in the last break we discussed the fact that Jay has never actually seen the movie Maximum Overdrive.
But it's not a documentary though. So
I know, but this movie in itself, yeah, you can watch it on Prime right now, bud.
On Prime?
Yeah,
Maximum
Prime's got
Overdrive. God, I just don't watch movies.
Yeah, man,
It's
I don't
gonna
know.
lose me, man.
I really want to do.
It's gonna lose me.
I know, but it's so
I
good.
try watching movies, especially older ones. Like, oh gosh, I can't do this.
It's just any kind of movie right now. You just like no good.
No.
You're like talking to a teenager.
I would much rather.
What do you want to eat? I don't know.
I would much rather just watch like an interview with some 80s rocker on YouTube.
What do you want? What do you want for dinner? I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
what's the documentary, Mike?
I don't know. All right. I think we should talk about Who Killed Little Gregory.
Ooh.
It's about
where is this?
It's on Netflix. It's about murder and the attempts to solve that murder, but it's a lesson in media representation and the horrific sexism Gregory's mother had to face in the wake of her own son's murder.
There you go.
Who killed
Sounds like a nice
Gregory?
happy topic.
It's Dark Side of the Stream. You can stream it online, 1047thecave.com from our 104.7 The Cave app, wherever you get your apps at, download it for free. And of course, we do this video live on Facebook every Thursday, 9 a.m. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Springfield's pure classic rock. 104.7 The Cave.